Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike coming at you with the Yaguchi. This is the XTransbots MX-85. This is their take on a very G1-esque Melloway figure, the Downshift. Wasn't really in the show, but I had as a kid, and I thought it was an interesting figure back in the day. I actually felt special because I had the Melloway figure. And I actually feel special that XTransbots made this for me. They made it for the fans of Downshift and the Omnibots. But I did get this at ShowZ Store. You can get yours too right now while supplies last. But remember, enter TH reviewer code, help channel out. But we're going to take a look at this guy, do some comparisons, and compare him to all of the vintage version, the other figures that XTransbots is making, and Carbots and Prime, so you can see how big it is. But let's get into this coming up. Alright, so here's the packaging, and it's a box. Yaguchi. It is an XTransbots. Anyway, here's the side of it, here's the back, and I really need to keep one of those decoders on here, tech spec decoders. There's no hints at what's next, but good stuff. Here is the car mode. Rolls pretty good, looks good. It's got a nice bright white paint job. I'm sure the door's open. Let's try that out. Yep, I was right, door's open. People usually say you have to fold this stuff here out, but I'm not going to just yet. But looks good from the back. Now, I'm hearing it's a Toyota, but it looks exactly like my Nissan 200SX. But, you know, the cars of a certain era look very similar to each other. So I'll just accept that it's a Toyota, but I think it feels like my Nissan, you know, and I'll just accept that in my mind. I'll just call it my Nissan 200SX, but looks good. The vehicle modes look really good, and they always do a great job with this. Lots of paint everywhere on this stuff, and I really think it's even painted more than we saw before, but there it is, looking good. Some headlights, and I think these pop up. Yep, they pop up. Just get under there with your fingernail or spudger. For all you fancy people, get a spudger out and open that up. That looks pretty good. Yeah, nice looking alt mode overall. I don't know much more what I'd want out of an alt mode. Alright, let's get into comparison to the vintage one. And I want to say that the vintage one, mine's in rough shape. I don't even think I paid $5 for it. I think I paid like $3 for it. In fact, I didn't even try to buy it. It was just included in lots. And there we go. You'll see in bot mode, I'm going to do some like restorations to these in 2025. But I don't see a spoiler on this. I don't know if mine's just missing a spoiler, it needs a spoiler, or what. But this one has like a weird spoiler looking thing there. Alright, in comparison to Fans Toys' admission to failure by making it 2.0, because that's always an admission of failure, and then an actual failure that was fixed from XTransbots, kind of funny. You're surrounded by failures, but this is probably going to be a win. Now we're going to get this into the other mode, and how we do that is open the door without chipping any paint, which could be a challenge. Get the ball rolling off camera there. So we're going to open this up, and then we're going to have to, see, I pull it out a bit and bring it down, and then the gun comes out and goes up. And so we're going to do this, and same thing on the other side. And then this top piece here, it's kind of a cheat, I guess. We bring in this gun and then slide it in place. And we have kind of a spaceship attack mode. Kind of feels like James Bond-ish. Same as we had with the vintage one, but there it goes. Kind of some cool stuff there. And here goes next to the vintage one in the same mode. I don't have the guns and stuff. Mine's not complete. I got it for real cheap, long time ago. But there we go, with its separate mode, but now we can get into doing the transformation. It's almost eerie how similar this transformation is to the vintage one, but we're going to pull this off. Now you could stow this in here by folding all this in like this or something along those lines. I'm not going to do that because I just don't want things getting in the way. So I'm not going to do that. So anyway, we're going to start in this mode. Just get these guns pushed back and out of the way for now. And then we're going to disconnect this stuff here. We are going to come back here, disconnect this, and then untab. So tab's in right there. And then we are going to disconnect and pull down on these legs. Now this is similar. They did the same thing with the vintage. And then we're going to spread these apart, which are tabbed in multiple places. There it goes. So this side decided it wants to transform first. So it's going to come down and we're going to like get it all tabbed in. And then we have to form the foot. So this folds out, folds over. We got a tab, and then it comes up here and it tabs in here. So that's how it's supposed to go. And then we do the same thing on the other side. So what you're supposed to do is kind of fold this down because there's a tab here that tabs into there. This comes down, and then we'll come back around here, fold this other piece here out, and then fold it around, tab it in, tab it in, tab it in. Fold this up, and this, make sure we have everything locked in place on this bad boy, because if it's not locked in place, he's not gonna, let's get that out of here. Oh, that tabbed in good on this side. Impressive. Most impressive how well that tabbed in. Alright, I got that tabbed in there. And then we're going to re-tab all this stuff in really well. You can see a ton of paint on this. See, that one's tabbed in better than this side. But, oh. Anyway, you know, what seems like one side might be a little better off than the other. How is it standing on its own now? It's standing on its own. Alright, what are we going to do here for the top part? Now, we got to do a few things up top here. Let's disconnect. And which this is really, really similar to what we had going on with the vintage one, to where like the arm pieces here go in just like that. So many things are similar to the vintage one, and it's quite interesting how they've done that. They've followed the vintage transformation, but then of course added a whole bunch more steps. It's not like wham bam, you're done in 5 steps, but which is what I kind of miss about vintage, but I do like the modern aesthetic. So let's get all this pulled out here. Now we need to get this stuff here opened up, and then the magic moment where we get the waist out. So this is kind of a typical situation where you're going to need to pull the waist out, and there's not a whole lot of space, but we're going to make it. Here we go. Out comes the waist, and it's a nice tight joint. It's a pretty nice tight joint on that waist. All right, now we're gonna situate this here. About like so. There we go. That feels almost right. Almost right. Probably be messing with that just a little bit as we bring it down to align everything. let's see here. I'll probably have to fiddle with that alignment just a little bit before we close it up. So next thing, what we want to do, getting the arms completely down here out of the way. Let's get them turned as out of the way as we can so that we can bring this up and over. So this part here is going to need to come up and over. Before we do that, though, we have to get the guns out. And as you get higher up, you get off camera. So pull the guns out, and probably, I just want to make sure everything's clearing before we do everything. No touching and rubbing while you're breaking stuff, and no breaking stuff. Now we're going to extend this so it feels like you're breaking it when you extend it. And you got to extend it all the way, which, can it go a little more? It's such a fragile point right here. Can it go a little more? It looks like it's not all the way, but it's so fragile. This feels like such a fragile. Yeah, said it 3 times, Mike. Don't say it again. But for emphasis, and that went back in there on me. So let me adjust the camera real quick. Might have to cut some of that out in editing if I went off camera a bit. But what we're doing is we're sliding, extending this up so that we can fold all this back, and we want to clear everything and fold it back. So we got to have everything out of the way and cleared so we can fold it back. So let's go ahead and get these pieces here out of the way. They're tiny little side fillers, and this is bumping on it. So you have to do this now so that this doesn't bump on it. Now you can get the arm completely out of the way. That's quite interesting. I'm not saying it's interesting in a good way. I'm just saying it's interesting. Now we can get the camera back down since it's not up so high. And we have to bring this tab down here, and it's going to go in between these 2 posts. And I'm going to figure out exactly the connection point on that. All right, the only connection point I see is, and this is scary too, these tabs tabbing into painted panel. I don't know if I like that. But that's all I really see as a connection point. And you need to solidify this area, or it's going to be moving around a lot. But wow, that's not a great connection point. But bring these down, and I think we're pretty much there. I'm just going to look it over a little bit, see if there's more I can do to tighten it up a bit. Yeah, I guess you can. Folding this panel. Forgot about that panel to fold around. Tighten up the arm. It's not a hard transformation, really. It's not a bad transformation, but maybe I didn't quite get everything just right on it. But it seems pretty simple, simplistic, and it also seems exactly like it follows the G1. And so, since that was a pretty simple transformation, let's just show what I'm talking about here. The same foot. The way the foot goes, it's the same. And then the arms are right here. This piece folds back. And then the arms kind of have to twist around, which is probably the most challenging part. And as you can see, that's the same, pretty much. You extend that, you pretty much got the same transformation. My old rickety G1. So we'll get into taking a look at this guy. All right, here he is in his robot mode, but he looks good, but he'll look better if you push his head forward like that. And then it shows you're supposed to actually have these window parts folded. I don't know how I missed that. And so with all of that, there he is. And he's a nice looking bot overall. And I'll admit that while I like these, I'm glad that they've done them. And XTransbots is the only one tackling these. It's a pretty cool looking bot. And a little bit of side gappiness there. It's not too bad, actually. There's just so much kibble on it. But that's how the original one was. I mean, in all reality, the original one had a ton of kibble. This one has the same, pretty much the same kibble in the same spots for the most part. It's just a little bit more panel of the kibble. But let's bring this gun in. So if you had the gun tucked and folded away here, you could just pull it right out. But I just didn't see the point of doing that, and then you turn it into his gun here. It's like, I don't know, it's like a welding piece that you'd have. And it just tabs into his hand just like everything else does for a Masterpiece. And he's got his gun, and that works. I will say, I am a little weird about the feet feel a little soft. Once I get it in a pose, it's fine, but it just feels a bit soft. So I would say the only real downside of this, everything else is super tight. It's just right at the ankle area. How they did the ankles, they feel a bit soft. But once I get it there, it holds. But really, aside from that, it looks really fantastic. It looked really good with the Autobot symbol on there. And yeah, it's pretty good job on this figure overall, and matches the G1. So let's get into quick articulation, then do some comparisons. I think that is the fun part. Now the head's pulled forward, head left and right, up just a little bit and down. So not a whole lot with that head. And then the kibble is really going to get in the way on this guy. You can sort of get it out of the way a bit if you want to. And you can go all the way there. You can move this around 360. And then you do have a butterfly. So the butterfly gets you to about here. And it can do like a little something where he's got, why you would need to do this, I don't know, but you're a hand covering his gun like he's hiding it or something, I don't know. But he can wield a sword if need be. That's not a sword wielding figure. Bicep swivel double joint at the elbow. Hands are what people like to refer to as typewriter fingers. But he does have an independent trigger finger, and the thumb is independently slightly moving. Yeah, there we go. All right, waist swivel. And does it have an ab crunch? Not really. It rocks a little bit, but not really something to speak of. You can go past the 90, so you can be a showgirl. I mean, that would be funny. And then stop motion him as a showgirl. And then out to here. Everything's friction. There's no ratchets going on in there. And then thigh swivel, super tight thigh swivel. I like how the waist moves with the leg. All right, and is it double jointed at the knee? Yes. So you can get quite a bit of range at the knee. And then we already talked about the foot, but you do get some side to side and up and down. It's just really, really, really soft foot. But it hasn't really affected it once you pose it. It still holds. So I guess it's a non-factor. It's just kind of something I noticed. But there he is for pose ability purposes. So for comparison, we're going to take a look at the G1. Are you trying to fall back on me or something? The G1. And as you can see, it really does match up. As I showed the transformation of the G1 just for fun. It's so similar in that respect. And then we can kind of flip the script here and see how they look compared to the back of each other. And there they are. So many similarities. So similar. And yeah, I mean, for me personally, I had the G1 as a kid. If I had kept my childhood one, I probably still wouldn't have any of the accessories. Just like this one has no accessories. But it's so many memories of having had this back in the day. And knowing it was just so different than everything else. And knowing it wasn't on the show. And let's compare it to Fioravante and the Bond. James Bond. Punch, counter punch. These all look great together. And these all are in the same pocket because they're figures or characters that nobody else wants to touch. So XTransbots is doing them right. I like them. I think they're great. I mean, people have complained about Fioravante, but mine still is excellent. This guy really just kind of the looseness in the feet. And him, yes, one, I don't think it's this one. One of them has a loose arm, a loose shoulder. So I've got two of these. This one's fine. The other one's got a loose shoulder, but I think they're doing really good work here. Is he bigger than a bread box? Yeah, but he's also bigger than a carbot. But if you really look kind of like the collarbones, they're very similar in height. So he's not much taller than a carbot, but he is a little taller than a carbot. Probably the wider stances make him a little shorter. But that's how he looks next to Prime. And Prime's got something to say. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Get out and vote today. Thanks for the heartwarming message, Prime. Alright, so this is my look at Yaguchi, the XTransbots Downshift. I don't want to downplay the Downshift at all. I think it's a good figure. I think it's exactly what I expected after getting the first one. I thought this would be just what it is. This is actually probably my least favorite of the three, though. Although I had it as a kid, and it's still exciting to get it, I would just put this as my least favorite of the three that they're going to be doing. I am looking forward to the next one, but Fioravanti out the gate was my favorite as a kid. I actually thought it was Sideswipe, so that'll be me. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you picking this up? Are you in on these? Are you excited that we get these obscure things that we never thought we'd get in the Masterpiece scale? And to this date, I don't believe Hasbro's even remade the Omnibots. Am I correct on that? Have they not made them in anything past Siege? But let me know in the comments below, like, subscribe, and talk to your hanger out.